Hello there. I'm Melissa, I write books. I did not have time to make a video for you, so, well, I did, I guess it's now. But I wanted to have something out, and then I went on YouTube this morning, it's Friday. I saw a video that Andy had put out, like reading her old writing, and I thought, why not embarrass myself on the internet? Truly. It's what I do all the time. I have a few things to go over. I don't know how interesting this will be for you, but I always think it's kind of interesting to like hear people's writing. It's funny though, because I've never, well, I guess I've sort of shared dictation, but that is a little different than like finished, polished writing. Like I don't really share my finished writing now here, and so I feel like you're gonna get this impression that like the way that I wrote in these times is how I write now. And honestly, maybe it'll slay. I have not read specifically out of this banger in a while. So what I'm gonna be reading for you today, I'm gonna do like a page. I'm gonna kind of vibe it out around the first page. This book is the book I wrote in high school. It's like 100,000 words, I think. It's very dystopian. You're gonna tell from the first page that she was copying from The Selection, Hunger Games, Divergent, etc. So I'll read a bit of this. I did win an award for this, so award-winning writer. No, it was the Scholastic Teen. I don't know if they still do these, but it's like the Regional Writing and Arts Awards. It's a nationwide thing, and there's different categories for like essay, short story, poetry, novel, different styles of art and photography. And so I submitted this book to it, and then it's like regional first. So I got a gold key regionally. And then because I got a gold key, and it's not like, oh, only one person gets the gold key. It's kind of like an A or a B. Like any number of people can get an A or a B, right? And then when it went to the national level, it got a silver medal. Do I necessarily agree? No. Then I also have Near the End of June, which is the book I shelved earlier this year that I wrote in college. I did edit this like, I guess 2 years ago would have been my final time I put a pass in it, which is wild, but that is so long ago. This one is a thriller. It's a YA thriller, but it takes place in a college, which is part of the reason it didn't work. And it's a dual reality. Don't ask. But to start off, we'll start with It's a Numbers Game, alternate title 5280. First, I'm gonna get some water, I'll be back. And you guys know I'm dramatic, I'm that girl, I'm gonna read it dramatically. So, 5280. So listen, there's a prologue. Oh no. Oh my gosh, this just like viscerally takes me back. Oh my gosh. We'll do the prologue. It's a numbers game. The others said we couldn't take the exams. They said that our brains were different. We were 5,000s after all. My mama said that they were wrong, that I could do anything. She said that it didn't matter if I was a 1 or a 5,280. It was the inside of me that counted. Sometimes I believed her, but mostly I didn't. My mom said a lot of crazy things. There's my sweet Ella. Oh my gosh. There's my sweet Elodie, my mom said as she tucked me into bed that night. I still remember the acid rain. Listen, it was so heavy that we had to put the bucket underneath the leaky part of the rooftop. Dad had been trying to fix it for a while, but Madame Cora had kept him pretty busy. That sounds like it's an innuendo, which it is not. Is it? No. There was no time to fix the servants' quarters. Mom, my name's Elodie 5280, I said. I was 5, not a child anymore. It was time that I started introducing myself properly. Mom didn't look very pleased. I know your number. Remember, I had the same one, she said, getting some of those wrinkles in her eyes that sometimes appeared after a long day of work. Ella, you're so much more than your number, Mom started. Not this one again, I pouted. I had already heard that story 100 million times. I want a real bedtime story, one with dashing blue bloods and a quest, and Mama laughed as I jumped on the bed, showing her my best sword fighting. Okay, I got it, a real story. Let's see. But before she could even start the story, Dad came in with a serious face again. Regan, there's been a situation. I was really all about the names. Dad's brown eyes were leaky. Mama said that his eyes didn't like the window cleaner at the 2470, so they tried to get it out through tears. I don't know if I believed her, because my eyes didn't care if there was a window cleaner around. Like I said, Mama says pretty crazy things sometimes. No, Dad, not another ituation, I pouted. Can we finish the story first? Dad's eyes got sharper, and I knew what the answer was gonna be. Not tonight, sweet pea, he said, his voice cracking. But Mama said I could hear the story tonight. Why do the stupid radicals have to be so mean? If the radicals could stop having itchuations, then you could finish the story, I pouted, crossing my arms. Mama took a big breath and sat down next to me. She took off her necklace, the one with the pretty lady on it. How about you tell that pretty lady the story we told last night, she asked, clasping it around my neck. I gasped. This is Mama's special necklace. She would never ever, we gotta finish, come on. Would never ever let me wear it, even if I finished all my chores on time. My eyes were bigger than the sky. I'll take it back, don't worry, I'll take it back when I get home. Now, do you remember the story? I nodded yes. This was Mama's favorite story. I brought the pretty lady's dress right up to my mouth and started. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Elodie 5280. Everyone thought she would work for the 2470s her entire life. But Elodie had a secret. She was going to take the exams and fight the radicals, just like her mama and dad. And no one would ever make fun of her or any other 5,000 ever again, the end. I would tell the pretty lady that story every night until Mama came home. I didn't know why she liked it so much. There wasn't even any dashing blue bloods in it. But that was the story that she made me remember. So I kept on telling it, even when Mama didn't come back. Okay, so for some context. So this is a dystopian society in which everyone is assigned a number. It's like the faction system, but more chaotic because everyone has a number. And I created all of these like society laws where it's like, if there's like you had a number difference like greater than 2,000, like if you were a 5,000 and another person was a 3,000, like you had to like bow your head before looking at them. Like she said commentary. And then it was like this whole thing, well, obviously the smaller number is the better societally. So it's like anybody over a 3,000 like couldn't get public education, but like everybody technically was allowed to take these entrance exams that would get them into the school, which is how you get the jobs. Otherwise, like the 5,000 usually were like servants to the lower numbered families, you know? Anyway, she like ends up going to school secretly, like the girl she works with or she works for like secretly tells her all the things, you know? Teaches her things so that she can just pass the exams and go to the school. And then she gets in this, okay, and then there was this whole thing where some people had an NQ where you couldn't ask them questions about what their number was. Like they had a low number, but like you couldn't ask what their number was. And so she falls in love with one of those people who is a 1, shockingly enough. And then this like 400, but it's like this whole thing because there's all these societal rules about like you can't look at people who are a certain number, you know? So there's drama. There's also no music in the society and there's illegal swing dancing. Kind of a slay, honestly. Okay, and that was from like, I was writing from the perspective of a 5-year-old. Oh, and then there was this whole, oh my gosh. Okay, so the whole lore was that like they believed that like in their history books, Shakespeare, like William Shakespeare, he was the first radical, which is like a rebel in the society. He's the one who, so like that's when history like changed or whatever, was with William Shakespeare for some reason. And there's all this like lore about Shakespeare being like I don't know. Had I read any Shakespeare at that point, like maybe a Romeo and Juliet for a class, but I was not, I was that girl. Spoiler alert for this book. Everybody had a chip implanted in them that was like truly trying to make everybody perfect. So the society's name was like Virtunia Perfecta or something. It means like perfect society. She was Suzanne Collins, I fear. Like the chips were slowly changing people to like all be the same. And she didn't have a chip. Like she was born outside of a hospital. Like her parents were radicals. And so then like, they're part of the book is like later in the book, she like wakes up one day and everybody has blue eyes or brown eyes. One of the color, I think it was blue or brown. I don't remember, but she didn't. And everybody, and then so like the people who were like running the government like noticed like, oh, why are her eyes still a different color? But she notices because like the guy she's in love with has like, his eyes changed color and he's also the ruler's son, listen. And then in the second book, which never got written, she like ends up, like they're like, you can't come back to school, but then she gets back to school. There's like this whole attack at the school, obviously, that she like She tries to come back to school, and when she comes back, like the boyfriend, they were like together at the end of the book, and but then she found out that he was a one. Oh, so good. And then his sister got kidnapped, but I think she got kidnapped like by the government. It was confusing. I'm kind of like, should I go back to this? Anyway, then she goes back and he is like super cold to her, and she's like, well, I thought we were together. And then, but his chip, like they reprogrammed him to not love her anymore. And then, and she like snuck back into the school. Like she wasn't supposed to come back because she like got in hot water. It's really giving Divergent. Anyway, she like got in hot water with the government anyway. So she was not invited back, but then she like snuck into the school, but then she gets caught by the, well, she like goes to find him, and then he's like, oh my gosh, guards, like arrest her. And then, so then she's being like tortured by him because he's being brainwashed by the chip. Are you kidding? Okay, and then, but then there's like a lightning storm going on, so it's like messing with the programming. And so then like there's he gets that's all I remember. Anyway, near the end of June is a thriller. Buckle up. Chapter 1A. If Al, then June. 9:17 a.m., room 204. Death was awkward. Thinking about it, talking about it, not talking about it, trying not to think about it. Put that away, please. Anyway. But even more awkward was doing all those things while sitting through a philosophy lecture. Good thoughts, June, very positive. I let my gaze wander, focusing on the vase of blue roses on Dr. Adams' desk, my neighbor's shoelaces, the clock as it struck 9:17, essentially anything to avoid participation. All right, let's review, Dr. Adams said with a ridiculous amount of enthusiasm. I glared at the equations in my notebook. That was definitely philosophy related and not, I was really bit into the dashes, and frankly I still am. Okay, into my notebook, that was definitely philosophy and not aerospace engineering. Why would you even ask that? Listen, okay, the page was a wasteland with a few faded philosophical arguments. Even the pencilette had failed them. Can anyone give me an example of a modus ponens argument? I began counting, hoping to prove a theory I had been working on. 1 second, 2, 3. Come on, Al. 4 seconds, 5, 6. I know you're dying to. 7 seconds, 8. Almost there. It's confusing. It makes a little more sense on the page. Okay. Al's hand rose as I reached the number 9, and I resisted the urge to cheer. Another successful trial run. Al Cunningham always had the answer, but he also wanted to give other people the chance to participate. Either that or he didn't want to be a total smartass. So he waited 9 seconds before raising his hand. Always 9 seconds. That was the theory, at least. If I'm thirsty, then I should drink water. I am thirsty, therefore I should drink water, Al said, earning a smile and a sigh from Dr. Adams as she wrote his example on the board. Remember, the modus ponens argument is the simplest in our arsenal. All you need is an if-then statement. Can anyone else give it a try? A pause ensued while we all waited to see who would be sacrificed for the sake of philosophy. Gunnar, how about you? A black hood in the back row slid down. Gunnar looked especially sullen today, with one ear occupied by an earbud and the other by a mold of unshowered wax. Nasty! Okay. What? He asked, his lack of attentiveness plastered across his face. To her credit, Dr. Adams refrained from spontaneously combusting as she asked the question again. Gunnar scratched the wrist of his sweatshirt as he considered her question. Yeah, I think I got something. You know that feeling? Maybe you don't, actually. You probably don't. It's a feeling that comes before murders and phone calls from the FBI and a ridiculous amount of therapy. It was a feeling that usually came before all the awkwardness. But this time, it appeared within it. She tried. If someone's dead, then we shouldn't have class. Someone's dead, therefore we shouldn't have class. A blue petal hit the linoleum. Every eye in the classroom avoided the empty seat in the third row. The rambunctious boys in the back fell silent as a collective breath sucked the room dry. Gunnar tucked his earbud back in as though he had just commented on the weather. Okay, Dr. Adams said, her voice coated with a teary film, certain words coming through as a whisper. I looked down to find the equations shifting as my eyes focused on focusing. Well, as you all know, the university has put out a statement about the decision to resume classes. If you don't feel comfortable, you can take as many days as you need, and the clinic is available if anyone needs additional support. My vision sharpened as I marked a tally at the bottom of my notebook, totaling 7 confirmed trial runs. Granted, this was one of my more depressing theories. When addressing Lily's death, campus faculty would quote the official statement, verbatim. "I know this is difficult," said Dr. Adams, "but we have to return to normal at some point." Apparently 4 days and a memorial service was some point. I didn't know her well. To me, Lily was no more than a hair color and a collection of discussion posts. But still, one day she was sitting in the empty chair in the third row and the next she wasn't. Dr. Adams cleared her throat and reached for the light blue cup on her desk. "All right, let's get started on those projects I mentioned. You'll get an assignment sheet later on, but for now, I'm gonna split you into pairs." Our fate was decided by a popsicle stick in a blue jar that was more suited to second graders than college freshmen. "June," she said. I fidgeted in my seat, hoping that my partner would speak philosophy. Okay, that's kind of a slay line. Okay. Her ice blue nails scratched against the wood. "You'll be with Al." Anyway, so the next chapter is the same scene. It starts at 9:17 again. So it's like, again, it's like chapter 1B, if Ethan, then June. So the first one was if Al, then June. And the second one is if Ethan, then June. And then it's in the same room, and then it's again. So if you don't know philosophy, I was taking a philosophy class at the time, and a modus ponens argument is like an if, then, therefore kind of a statement. And so that's how I was structuring the book. Like at the end, the last scene of the book is the same thing again, but it's Ethan, therefore June. And so then it's the last chapter of Ethan. And then the last chapter is June, therefore. So the second chapter, and this is why I think it was difficult with querying, because it was like the first 10 pages was like the same scene twice, is the same scene, but Ethan's the one who starts talking instead of Al. And all the colors that were blue in the first chapter are red in Ethan's world. So like the reality splits, and it splits right here when she gets assigned as Ethan for her partner rather than Al. And so then the book splits from there of like, what would happen if that was the only thing that was different, you know? Honestly, she kind of slayed that. I might do more of these later, but that's all I have for now. So if you enjoyed watching me embarrass myself, I don't know, tell me which one you liked the most. Anyway, I'll see you very soon. Bye.